Greetings, friends. Today's host of our Share Your Mission program is Dr. Winn Henderson. Dr. Henderson is a retired medical doctor with over 20 years of clinical experience. He is a #1 national best-selling author and/or co-author of 38 books, including Freedom from Addiction, The 12 Steps, Doctors Don't Lie, The 4 Questions, and The Deposition. Also, Share Your Mission, which is a continuing book series based on this radio program. Dr. Henderson is the founder of the Recovery Group. It offers Christian-based counseling to individuals and families with addictive behaviors. And for those seeking their higher purpose in life is the Destiny House. It is a spiritual retreat located in the breathtaking mountains of western North Carolina. The Destiny House provides an inspiring opportunity for individuals to find out why they were created and how to discover their mission in life. As a thank you for listening today, the doctor would like to give you a free book. So have your pen and paper ready, and we will give you a toll-free number in just a moment to call for your free copy. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the program.
Hello again. This is Dr. Winn Henderson of Share Your Mission to remind you about the 4 most important questions in life. They are, who am I? Where did I come from? What am I doing here? And where am I going when I'm done? This program deals primarily with the 3rd question, what am I doing here? I believe that each of us has a specific mission to accomplish, a destiny, if you will, and the ultimate secret to finding lasting happiness in this life lies in discovering that destiny and then in pursuing it. My mission? To help you find yours. Equally important is learning to love yourself and fully appreciate your value. This is so important because until you fully appreciate and understand your relationship to God, other people, and the world, you will never be happy, content, or have peace of mind. I believe the fastest way to gain this understanding is in answering the 4 questions. My book, Freedom from Addiction, will help you find out what your mission is so that you too can be truly happy and successful. I provide individual Christian-based counseling on issues of addiction worldwide by telephone. To receive your free book, please call me at 877-787-3127. That's a toll-free number. Again, 877-787-3127. Visit my website, freedomfromaddiction.info, for more information. And now, this week's presentation of Share Your Mission. What makes some couples successful and other couples unsuccessful in a marriage? According to psychotherapist and relationship expert Elliott Connie, there are certain very specific habits that lead to long-term success in the marriage. In Elliott's new book, The Solution-Focused Marriage, he presents 5 habits and practices he shared with thousands of couples and taught clinicians around the world. Partners who apply these lessons to their relationship see immediate positive results. And positive is the operative word here. That's because the approach he uses, which is called solution-focused brief therapy, invites people to work toward creating their desired future and focus on the progress that they've made and are making rather than on the problems. Elliott Connie is, like I said, a psychotherapist. His private practice is in Keller, Texas, and he specializes in families, couples, and relationships. He is also founder of the Solution-Focused Training Institute and the Uptown Counseling and Family Therapy Center in Dallas, Texas. It's our pleasure to have on the program today Elliott Connie. Good morning, Elliott.
Good morning. It's very nice to be here.
Okay. What type of psychotherapy you use, I understand, is called solution-focused brief therapy.
Yes,
Most of the people that are listening, they don't have the slightest idea what that is. Could you kind of bring us up to speed?
Sure. Solution-focused brief therapy is an approach to therapy that is based on having conversations about your preferred future as opposed to your current problems that are going on, with the idea that the better job we do of discussing and creating what we'd like our preferred future to look like, then obviously we'll be moving away from the current problems and flaws that have popped up in our lives in this time.
Well, solution-focused brief therapy has not been with us forever. There's a lot of psychotherapists that focus on the problems, but you see this type of therapy as to getting faster and better results?
Yeah, I mean, the research is really clear that when you do this type of therapy, you get the same clinical outcomes, if not a little bit better, but you get there in much fewer sessions. So what a traditional psychotherapist might take months to accomplish, when you see a solution-focused brief therapist, you will get there in a matter of weeks, typically.
Okay, so your new book tells how you use this kind of therapy in order to build better relationships in the future, and you have 5 important points that you'd like to stress when you're talking about this, right?
Yes.
And so let's get your perspective on each of these 5 points, if you will. The first point is to set a goal for the relationship.
Yes. I think couples that have a tendency to have goals and plans for their future, they have a tendency to be on the same page about what they're doing and make appropriate assumptions and assessments on their partner's behavior. So I don't mean in any way that a couple should, sit down and have like a professional meeting and iron out what all their goals are going to be for the next 50 years, anything like that. But we have to be on the same page about what type of relationship we're creating so that we understand the behaviors of our partner and we can assume positive things. For example, if my wife and I have had a conversation and we're both on the same page about wanting to retire early and spend our later years traveling, then when I take a certain amount of money out of my paycheck and put it in a savings account, my wife's natural assumption is going to be he is doing that in congruence with our goal accomplishment. But if we don't have a conversation about that, then all of a sudden me taking money out of my paycheck and putting it into a savings account can easily be misconstrued as a selfish act, which leads to resentment, anger, frustration, arguments, and assumptions that aren't necessarily accurate and cause us to be not on the same page. But when we both fully understand what we're contributing to and what we're building, then we are able to stay congruent to each other for a much longer period of time. And goals shift over the course of time. When I'm 22 years old, I might have the desire to retire early because nothing sounds better to me than traveling later on in life. But after I've worked for 20 years traveling for my job, I might really love my job and like the idea of now retiring in South Florida sitting on a beach. So we have to be able to continuously talk about what we'd like our desired future to look like and stay on the same page about it.
Well, when you talked about goals and the assumptions, would I assume correctly that when you're putting that money into a savings account that you have already discussed with your wife that that's how it's going to be used?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. But it surprises me how many people don't have those conversations. So I've worked with couples who have savings accounts established for their education, for their college funds, but they're not on the same page about when those accounts got established and how into those accounts. In some cases, one partner doesn't even know that that account exists. So it causes us to feel very disconnected when we're not working on the same goal at the same time together. And we really need to be able to do that.
Your second point is to recall your honeymoon phase of the marriage. Tell us what you mean by that.
Well, every couple has a love story. Probably my favorite thing about being a couples therapist is I get to hear every couple's love story. We all had this period of time where we fell in love and we were doing things to contribute to the very euphoric, loving feeling. However, we tend to take that for granted and we don't acknowledge that that loving feeling was not just some random act of karma or Cupid. It was actually me combining the very best of myself and my partner combining the very best of themselves and creating this loving, feeling, strong relationship. And we have to take credit for it and really own that we were able to contribute and build this relationship together. Because once we do that, then we're able to understand what our strengths are and better withstand the challenges that life will inevitably throw at us.
Well, how would that play out as a practical situation between two people? How would you do that?
Well, here's an example. If two people got together and they tend to say things, the number one complaint that I hear in my practice is we either can't or don't communicate. So if I ask a couple during the very beginning of your relationship when things were at their very, very best, how did you guys communicate back then? And they will start explaining how they should successfully communicate. And now that they're saying it right now, they're understanding, like, you know what? Back then, I was so excited to see my partner, I left my cell phone in my car when we went on dates. Okay, so maybe you should do that now because your partner is perceiving you as distracted when you're on the date now because you're bringing your cell phone to dinner and texting the whole time. But back then, you were so excited to be with her or him, you would leave your phone in the car. So just by understanding the way that you conducted yourself in the beginning of the relationship, it's going to give you data as to how you need to conduct yourself now, even though there might be problems popping up. And that data will help you resolve the problem.
Okay. Now, the third point is communicate about your progress. I guess that is that once you see that progress is being made, you want to talk about that too.
Yes. Well, progress is always being made. I mean, it's very difficult to have anything in your life going all bad, just as it's difficult to have anything in your life going all good. So we have to be able to pick out the parts of our life that are going well and that are progressing in a way that pleases us and communicate about them and really have conversations about them and really connect about them. Since we've already established a goal, I notice you're doing A, B, and C things to help contribute to that goal actually being realized, and we should talk, praise, and acknowledge each other. And again, we tend to do this in the very beginning of our relationship. We have frequent conversations about how well this relationship is going. Couples do that stuff all the time. But once we've been married 10, 15 years, we kind of stop doing that. And I advocate that couples should continue to have those types of positive conversations because they're quite impactful and they're very, very positive.
Well, talking about progress, I believe that you said once, in a marriage, the biggest sign of regression is not nearly as important as the smallest sign of progress.
Absolutely.
Yeah, explain that to me.
Well, like I said earlier, there's, we tend to talk in terms of absolutes, alwayses and nevers and things like that. And the biggest sign of problem is only going to tell me what your flaws are. And we know that every single human has flaws and every single human has talent. So the biggest sign of a problem is only going to inform me what your flaws are. But the smallest little clue of success is going to inform me about what your talent is. And talent is what we need to remove problems, build relationships, stay happy together, and so on and so on. So the smallest little inkling of talent is going to give us huge information and abilities to start living the type of life that we've always desired.
What would be an example of a sign of progress? How would you know that you're making progress?
Like a couple that says things to me, I'll give you a really great example. I was recently working with a couple who had gone through a very difficult divorce, and for the past few years, they were really, really, really using hateful language toward each other and literally could not talk. They talked through their lawyers as they were trying to work out custody of their daughter. In the session, I asked them, between appointments, if they could communicate one positive thing between each other per day between sessions 1 and 2. Well, they both were very reluctant to do this, and they both stated, I can't think of anything positive about my partner. And I could point out to them there must be positive things about your partner because, number one, there's no such thing as a person that's all bad. And number two, you both have this wonderful daughter who's getting on with life in a very positive way in spite of the fact that her parents don't get along. So the couple agreed to do this, even though they said that the compliments will be very superficial, and we're not willing to do it over the phone. We're going to have to do it via email. Well, the next week they came in, and significant progress had been made because they were noticing little tiny signs of progress because it's all they were capable of. One of the things they would say is, you did a good job of packing our daughter's makeup bag. That's such a small thing to notice. But once we start introducing positivity, then relationships kind of start rolling downhill and they really can't stop. Just like problems start rolling downhill and they can't stop, so do positive things. That couple has now begun dating after several weeks of introducing positive things, even though they had this long history of problem. Once the inklings of positivity and progress started being noticed, they couldn't help themselves. It just started happening.
Well, that's a great example. Why don't you tell our audience how they can get a copy of your book, The Solution-Focused Marriage?
You can get it at all major booksellers. It's available on barnesandnoble.com. You can also get it for their Nook. It's available on Amazon.com, and you can get it on their Kindle. You can get it on my website, which is ElliottSpeaks.com. And for even more information about the book, you can go to thesolutionfocusedmarriage.com.
Great. I'm going to give away one of my books today, and the book is called Freedom from Addiction. And Freedom from Addiction is revolutionary in that it has the highest success rate for at-home therapy for any of the 20-something different types of addictive behaviors. In fact, it's so successful that if you meet 3 criteria, then you're guaranteed a positive behavior shift from your addiction to not being addicted. And those 3 things are, 1, you have to want to get well, and most people, for one reason or the other, haven't gotten to that point. They're getting something positive out of their addiction, so they don't really want to get well. And number 2 is you have to believe that you can get well. And there's enough stuff in the book to help you get to the point that you can believe that you will get well, as every other person does. And the third thing is, of course, you have to do the work. And as a result of the first 2 things, that you'll follow the program at home. And if that's the case, you can cure your addictive behavior. So, Freedom from Addiction, you email me at Winn, W-I-N-N, at winnhenderson.com and ask for the free book, and we will download it to you. And you can do that for yourself or for somebody that you love. And now we're going to get back to talking about the solution-focused marriage with Elliott Connie. Elliott, we got through 3 of the 5 important things in your book. Let's go on to number 4, and that is continue to date. I guess what you mean is dating like you used to date before you were married. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct. Just about every marriage professional in the world is going to tell you how important it is that you continue to date and be romantic in your relationship. But I want to add like another layer to that. That couples shouldn't just talk about and continue the act of dating, meaning, just going to dinners and going to movies. But when you were dating, you had a mindset where you were attempting to win the other partner over. Like you were purposely getting dressed and planning dates and plotting things in such a way to win that partner's heart, to make that person happy, to put your very best foot forward. And you have to continue that mindset as you begin this, as you continue your relationship, and as you want to contribute to a relationship moving forward into the future. You can't lose that desire to show your partner the very best of yourself, to notice the very best of your partner, and to behave in such a way that induces loving feelings from that person. And it's very easy for us when we're in a relationship for, a decade, 2 or 3, to start taking that process for granted. But we really have to do that and work hard to make sure that those loving feelings continue, those romantic feelings continue between the two people.
That's what used to be called courting behavior.
Absolutely, and we should continue to court. I mean, that's tantamount is so important.
One thing I found that if you give to another person over and over again and they don't express appreciation after a period of time, some longer, some shorter, you quit doing it. And
Yeah.
I think that's just human nature. And so you want to appreciate your partner or your potential partner if you're dating, and that's what you've been talking about, isn't it?
That's exactly right. I mean, feedback is so incredibly important. In the absence of feedback, almost any behavior will extinct itself. So why not purposely provide positive feedback so the only behaviors that repeat are the behaviors we experience as desirable?
Absolutely. And the fifth thing, function as a partnership.
Yes, and what I mean by that is just like in any other relationship, and it's most notable probably in business, when two people come together to work on a project, then one person brings their talent and ability, and another person brings their talent and ability, and they combine them for the purposes of making the project successful. And in relationships and in marriage, we should do the same thing. I should take my unique talents and skills and bring them in this relationship and allow my partner to bring their unique talents and skills into the relationship and put everything else aside, ego and all of that stuff, and just work toward building the project and making it as successful as possible, and in this case, the project being a long-term, loving, happy relationship.
Elliott, I'm going to read something, an idea from one of my previous guests,
Okay.
Christina Wright, and the book is called Bedded Bliss. And she says, for years, whenever some starry-eyed romantic would ask me what's my best piece of marital advice, I would smile and say, marry someone who says yes. It's simplistic, and yet saying yes is at the heart of every good relationship. Marry someone who says yes to you, not just to getting married or to acting out some secret sexual fantasy, but to everything your heart desires, and your life will feel limitless. Being with someone who says yes to your needs and dreams is empowering and accelerating. By the same token, you need to be the person who says yes to your spouse. Saying yes means putting aside your own ego, insecurities, and fears and indulging in his or her needs and interests. If your first instinct is to say no, you need to ask yourself why. Is it for the good of your spouse and your marriage, or is saying no about protecting yourself? If it's the latter, try to let go of whatever is holding you back and say yes. It feels good to say yes, to make the person you love most as happy as you can, and by saying yes, you may discover your own happiness in some new shared experience. And here's the caveat to my advice. It only works if both people say yes to each other. Having one person who says yes to every adventure and fantasy while the other person continually shuts down any suggestion to try something new only makes for an unbalanced, resentful relationship. So say yes to each other. Every day you're married, every anniversary you celebrate, say yes happily and with wild abandon. And remember the person you married. Remember who you were when you got married. You are still those lusty lovers and so much more for your shared life together. What do you think about that?
I absolutely love that. I'm a big believer in simple things, and I think that's such a simple idea that we should get married to people that say yes, and say yes to our partners. I adore that.
Yeah, you were talking about positivity as opposed to negativity. Well, a person that says yes is a positive person. But if you've got a spouse that's all the time saying, no, I don't feel like it, that wouldn't be any fun, you get a terribly different relationship and not a good one.
That's exactly right. And to kind of piggyback onto that idea, when we're in the dating kind of early stages of our relationship, my wife might invite me, or my then girlfriend might invite me to something that I won't find positive. But because I'm so excited to be with her, I will find a way to make it positive. I will enjoy something I wouldn't normally enjoy just by focusing on, well, at least I'm with her, or she seems to be happy, or she is at least smiling. And we have to continue that, because eventually, like, negative things creep into our minds and we stop saying yes. And I think we should. I absolutely enjoy that idea very much.
Well, I have a potential girlfriend who likes the symphony, and I don't particularly like the symphony. But if she were to say to me, gee, I'd like for you to take me to the symphony, I would say yes.
Of course.
But I know plenty of people who are married that same set of circumstances that say, no, I don't like it, I don't feel like it, and everything. And that's exactly what you're talking about.
That's exactly right. That's exactly what I'm talking about. My wife asked me to do things like, I hate horror movies. They keep me up for days. And my wife will ask me to go to horror movies, and I'll go because she loves them. And I love to see her that way. And I like that she still, after all these years, will grab my arm and hold on to it.
Absolutely. Well, today we're talking with Elliott Connie, and it's called the Solution-Focused Marriage. And play it one more time. Tell us how they We're having a little technical difficulty, Elliott.
Yeah, I'm having to hear a lot of static here, and I don't know why.
Terrible. I wonder if we're having... maybe a... Yeah. Well, what I said was, you tell us how to get a copy.
Well, I'm not sure that you can hear me, but the best way to get a copy of my book is at all the major booksellers like Barnes & Noble, Amazon, the Kindle, and the Nook. And you can also find it on my website, which is thesolutionfocusedmarriage.com. And you can learn more about my work at elliotspeaks.com. That's Elliott with 2 L's and 2 T's.
Okay. It got a little bit better than
okay, good.
before. I hope we're not having a lot of activity. But let me ask you, since this program is called Share Your Mission, do you see this as your mission in life right now?
To be perfectly honest, I do. I'm a very spiritual person, and God has played a tremendous role in my life. And I find it funny, when I was in graduate school learning to become a counselor, I would have bet the farm that I wouldn't have ended up working with couples. But as I start working and I start experiencing all of these things that make me so passionate and enjoy family and love and romance and relationships, I view it very much as my very spiritual mission to help people have more positive experiences in their relationships and to put that work into the world, which is what drives me to write so many books and do so many trainings and work with so many couples in my office.
Well, that's absolutely wonderful, and we wish you the best in your mission in life. This program, been talking with Elliott Connie, the Solution-Focused Marriage. Thank you. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Remember, this program is dedicated to helping you, our listeners, find true personal happiness in your life. I believe the fastest way to accomplish that goal is to find out what your mission is and then to pursue it. So now until next time, may God bless you and lead you to the contentment, happiness, and peace of mind that you really deserve. Until we meet again, remember, happiness comes from pursuing your mission.